Yeah, this is Rotorshed. This is literally some rotors in a shed. So I don't know what you're expecting, but this is it. So I'm going to take apart 3 engines. They're all from eBay or people that I know. This one isn't looking very good because you can see the back has already been apart. There's some gaskets hanging out the side. So I'd like to have a look in the exhaust ports and inlet ports, see if you can see large amounts of oil. So then obviously you know that is going to be where your problem is. Right, start by taking the flywheel off. It should be pretty hard to take off, but as you can see, it comes straight off with no problem at all. So obviously this has definitely been apart. Normally you need to give them a tap with a hammer to get them off. It's like on a tapered shaft, so you need to just tap it with the hammer just to break the seal. Just taking the woodruff key out. Obviously you can't take the rear stationary gear out without taking that out. There you go, it's almost safe, because they do get lost. So I'm going to save all these bolts, not just obviously because I want to put it back together, but I'm going to try and put them through a solution cleaning process where they'll get a coating on them, which should make them last a lot longer. Not to have any problems anyway, but it's good to make them look nice and shiny. That came off way too easy, so it's been apart. Checking the bearing over, nothing's broken off, there's no big bits of copper floating around in there. It's just worn out, so obviously it will get changed. See the bolts hanging out, so it means it won't be too difficult to take them off. Normally I'd do this in some kind of sequence, but it's really not going to make any difference now it's already been apart. Definitely need some of that. So for the other engines I'll probably fast forward this bit, but this is the first one, I'll just go through everything. I got that. Normally got to give them a little tap with a hammer. This one just comes straight off. So yep, as you can see, knackered. Nothing salvageable there. Just goes straight in the bin. So you can see the side seal was missing at the bottom, and I think that's probably where it's gone. So the rotor's absolutely knackered. Nothing you can do. You can't get them remachined. I mean, never say never, but the cost of getting it remachined is outweigh the cost of the rotor. It's so bad that the rotor and the rotor housing are jammed into one solid piece, so it makes it easy to throw away, I guess. So especially on the run assist, when you get one side that's gone, it's going to affect pretty much everything in there. The only hope is that the shaft is okay. So give it a little clean up and have a look. You're never really lucky. It may seem like you're lucky when you're taking it apart, but when you've really had a look and cleaned it up, you'll definitely see some kind of gouges or something on there. It really just take out the whole side. Takes a little bit of finesse, but you'll get it after you've done quite a few. Other side's fine, but it doesn't really make a difference for scrap Shaft looks pretty good. I have to give it a wipe off just to double check. So yeah, looks really good. Obviously, you're going to do some more checks on that, make sure the gullies and everything are clear, but you can get a pretty good idea just by looking at them. Everything looks to be intact. Apex seal doesn't really seem that worn, so before this happened it was probably running okay. It normally fail due to bad maintenance. Most of the time it's coils. People don't bother to change them. We're supposed to change them every 30,000 miles, but even Mazda on the first service or whatever services it will be would try and make them last a bit longer because they're very expensive. You can see it's only been making contact on one side, so oil has been bridging the gap on the other side. On a really good engine, when you take it apart, there won't be too much oil and stuff to wipe off. Also, you want to check on the spark plug holes or cracks. On the bigger hole, it's not too much of a problem, as long as they're very small. On the little one, if you've got any cracks on there, it's not really worth it. It's going to get hot and then the water's going to leak into the combustion chamber. You can see how black and discoloured the parts are at the front from not changing the oil enough. Check needle bearings, make sure they're okay. There's no gouges in this plate at the front. Obviously careful when you give it a little tap, you don't want to hit the face of the plate at all. Bearing looks okay, it's just worn out. You want to check for chattering on that plate on the front there, from the needle bearing. All the teeth are still intact, so it's alright. People take these off in different ways, but this is the way I like to do it. Just keeps everything together. You can use the little woodruff key pretty easy from the oil pump, so it's good to keep it all together. Obviously it's not the quickest method. Give them a little twizzle and then have a look at the oil pump. Generally they're fine, but you're looking for any really nasty score marks in there. This one's fine. You can see there's a really nasty big bit of carbon in the exhaust port. So if you give it a tap, it's on the edge of the screwdriver. Obviously being really careful not to hit any part of the plate, you can generally get it out in one go. So I'll try and do that. So I'm not using a hammer, I'm just using a little socket. Just give it a little tap. Comes out in one bit. That's not the largest I've seen, but generally that's as big as I get. It can be really nasty when they break off inside the engine and just cause damage just from bad maintenance. Right, next one. Some's already been taken off because it's messy. Have a look in the exhaust ports again. They all look fairly the same. No, lots of oil dripping out anyway. I just thought I'd do this because I didn't show it on the other one. So they've already been cracked off. It's a real pain. The way I do it is chain up the rear, and you have to wedge it with something pretty heavy. So you can put a car on there or a lift if you've got one, and then a big scaffolding pole. And don't use a 3/4 inch drive, you need at least an inch, otherwise it will break it every time. Trusty engine stand. It's pretty big because basically it's for 20 Bs. The engines are all supposed to come drained, but that's more like the other one was supposed to be. So you know we're going to be the first people in here. Give it a good old whack with the hide hammer. There you go. Okay, and we'll drift key. So you've pretty much seen this in the other one, so I'll try and get through this bit as quick as possible. Spare looks okay, it's just worn out. No big bits of copper coming off. All the teeth are there. You can see there's a bit more of a process this time, just to get it off nice and even, the same as you would do with the head. Little tap. Careful not to hit it on the top where it bolsters the gearbox because it can break off. So you want good solid parts to hit it from. Have a look. Okay, nothing's broken off. You see there's a lot less carbon on the inside this time. And you can see the oil's fairly clear, which means it was pretty well looked after. This one looks really good. It's obviously had the coolant change. You can see there's pretty much no corrosion in there. So put that over in a keep pile. Bit sparse. Right, take the rotor out. I'll try and keep everything together, so it just makes it easier to see if anything's missing and where it might have gone. So it looks pretty nice. Normally you see quite a bit of corrosion in there, but this one looks like it's been looked after. You can really see the difference between this one and the other engine, just from having proper maintenance. And try not to hit anywhere that's going to cause any damage. That's a nice place. You can't really do any damage there in terms of putting it back together and it all being okay. And look around. Checking for cracks and spark plug holes and shattering marks around the top. A lot less stuff to wipe off on this one. So yep, looks pretty good. I'll give it a double check over later, but I can go in the keep high. A bit of carbon from the face of the rotors on there, but Still a nice little bit of carve in the exhaust port though. There's not really too much you can do that. It's to do with the type of oil that you use. Unless the bearing's knackered, it should be quite easy to pull that up, a couple of inches without any resistance. And put them back in where they came from. If you're going to reuse the side seals, you can see on the rotor what letter they are. So as long as they're okay, it makes it a lot easier to put it back together again. Or makes it easier to find the right size one. Sharp looks pretty good. You also want to check over the needle bearing in the end. Because if that's gone, it's going to make some pretty horrible noises when you fire it up. Make a space to put the rotor down so you can have a look at that. Move my sandwich out of the way. Sorted. Bearing is pretty good. Everything's pretty good. It's probably another case, well, a case of it being misdiagnosed. So coils already gone out. The engine's not running properly, and because people don't really know, they're going to assume the engine's knackered. Let's just double check all the teeth are there. And checking for wear on the scraper rings. You just want a very small amount of silver right on the edge. If it goes to about halfway, then they're just ready for the bin. You'll try and pick up as many springs and corner parts as you can, because they just get everywhere, tyres and all kinds of stuff. So yeah, again, looks pretty good. Just double check the cracks and chatter marks. That's it, looks good. I didn't film taking the front cover off, but I'll put some pictures up in a second, and you can really see the difference between this one and the other one. It's nice and clean. It's obviously been looked after. So to the FD, there's like a cage at the front here to hold the nut in the front. You want to take that off before you break the nut off, obviously, because there's a lot of engines that come in where that's just not on there. They obviously get bent and broken, and so just double check and make sure you take that off first before you take the nut off. Although they kind of use the same castings originally, the FD engines are so much better in terms of quality and how they're put together and tolerances. It's just such a nicer engine to work on. So it's quite unusual to be the first person back into an FD, because they've probably been rebuilt at some point. Just because it keeps the value up. They may not need it, but just to get them refreshed from time to time. It's such a nicer car, being the day it was up against 911s in terms of price range and stuff, so they really put a lot of care into putting them together and making sure they lasted. So let's do this again, already seen it. So obviously the O-ring's on a different place. You can see that's really bad bearing damage in there. I think there's a couple broken off, the teeth don't look too healthy. I've actually got a clip of this engine when it was running, which I'll play at the end. You can definitely hear bearing problems. So I'm not expecting this to be too good. So there's only one longer bolt on the FDs, or on the RX-8s there's 4. It's got an M on it, so make sure you don't lose that. So again, a bit more of a process to taking them apart. Right, so what we got. It's quite hard to show on the camera, so I'll put some pictures up later. But where the bearings have gone and the shaft isn't running true, the rotors can wobble. They've made a few scuff marks on the plates, so depending on how bad they are, you might have to get them resurfaced or replaced. You can see the bearings gone. Any sign of copper or anything on there is gone. Should always be replaced anyway on a build, but if you're doing race engines or refreshing them quite regularly, you don't have to change them. I was thinking it's a shame that a lot of people won't see inside an FD engine. Where they get more valuable, they're going to just go to specialists, and people aren't going to have a go at these at home. So corner seals are different. On the RX-8s, they've got the little recesses, and the metal plugs that go in there. It used to be a little rubber plug there, I don't know if you can see. And that just fits in there, and that's it. For whatever reason, it was missing it on that one. Right, let's pop this off. Again, you're looking for cracks and spark plug holes. Generally, they wear a lot better. So there's not too much more stuff to look out for. It's alright. You can see the sort of normal level of corrosion you got in there. Some of it's surface and some of it you've got to be really careful of. Obviously you can see the gaskets fit into the actual irons rather than the housings. You can see there's been uneven wear with the apex seals, and they've had to fill the gap in with some oil. bit of a closer look at that. So I'll do another video about cleaning it up and checking everything over. This is literally just a teardown video, so we'll go through everything properly later on. But you can normally get a good idea of what's destined for the bin. Again, got the same marks from the rotors on that iron, so whether we can get them out or send them off to be resurfaced. This is an absolute peg. This would not come out, which is pretty typical of bearing failure. It's got so hot and it's stuck itself into the front stationary gear bearing, which makes it really difficult to obviously take the centre plate off. You can give it a little tap, but I'm going to be some time with this one, so I'll fast forward it. Basically just trying to free it up enough to get it out. Finally, so we get it off, have a little look. Same marks on there. So because it's really hard to show on the camera, I'll put a picture up. You can see someone's modified the oil pressure valve at the back there. And there's the marks. Because it's a really nice iron, apart from that, I'll probably try and get them resurfaced. And that is absolutely knackered. There's heat marks everywhere. Just ready for the bin. Exactly the same shaft, they're just the RX-8 shaft, so a little bit lighter, so we'll probably put an RX-8 shaft back in the FD engine. Yeah, bearing's gone and teeth are knackered. Put a little picture of that up. So there you go, you can see bits of copper in there as well. So what happens is a bearing fails first of all, the bits of copper get stuck in between the cogs, and then when it gets too much they just break. And same thing's happened with the front stationary gear as well. Not too bad, so I'll have another look at that later on. Again, got the same marks. That's going to be the worst point. And you can see the heat has melted the bearing inside. This is it running. There you go. So if your car sounds like that, you can have exactly the same problem. Alright, so get clean.